Okay, welcome back everybody. Thank you everyone for coming. This week's Parsha is Parashat Chayei Sara. We all know one of the highlights over here in this Parsha is the death and the passing away of Sara Imenu, our first mother, Sara Imenu. Now when Sara Imenu passed away, Abraham found her, and he saw her he came back from that Kedat Yitzchak. He thought he did such a big mitzvah. He did do such a big mitzvah, and that mitzvah still lasted us till then. The Satan wanted to get him in the last point. Is he going to regret the mitzvah? Is he going to go back and say, Chai was not worth it? For example, I think you gave it once. You said that, imagine you go to shul, you park the car by the hydrant, you park the car by the meter, forgot to put the meter in, you daven shacharit, wow, fire, this, that, you came on time, you come outside, what do you see? You see an orange envelope. And then what do you do right away? I shouldn't have come to shul. Why did I come to shul? Now I got the ticket, $115, no standing, So you're going to regret the mitzvah. That's the Satan's plan. That's the Satan's trick. So Avraham was tested. Will you regret the fact that you were going to go Shech Yitzchak? Because that's why Sarah died. Because they came to her and said that, your husband went to go Shech your son. And that's it, she passed away. So at her hesped, so we should all learn from this. Don't regret the sins. Don't regret the mitzvot. Don't regret the mitzvot you did. You already did the mitzvah. Don't say, I should have never helped that guy when you get into a fight with him. I should have never done this. Always say positive. Always speak very positively. Now Avram comes and he's giving her hesped. Hesped means eulogy, the Yishvo. And over there at the Yishvo, what does he sing for her? He sings the song, Eshet Chail Miimtza. Avram was the one that composed the song of Eshet Chail. And he composed it for his wife, Sarah. And the Zera Shimshon says, that Sarah was the crown of her husband. She was the crown of Avraham Avinu. She glorified Avraham. Avraham would never be what he was without Sarah Imenu. And it says, the Zera Shimshon says, for the kavod of Sarah, I'm going to go through the whole entire Eshet Chail, every single line, and I'm going to go through what each one means, and he expounds on every line and gives insights to it. But obviously it's really, really long, this one. So we're only going to do 1/3. Only going to do 1/3. That's all we could do tonight. Maybe a different time we'll do it. But we're going to do the last part. Starting from, if you know Eshet Chail goes in Aleph Bet order. So we're going to start from Ayin, which is Oz v'hadar levusha v'tischak liyom acharon. The Zera Shimshon says, Hi notenet reshut ba'ala lechta Talmud Torah. What is an Eshet Chail? What is a virtuous woman? What does this mean? So one of the character traits that Avram lists about his wife, if you look at the English translation, it's very interesting. One time you guys should sing it to your wives in English. See how they're going to like it. It's very, you're praising your wife, how amazing she is, how hardworking she is, how much strength and beauty she has. So try singing in English once. And he goes through these and he explains what each one of them means. So the first one is, strength and beauty are her raiment, and she laughs on the last day. Now what exactly does this mean? So he says that the Eshet Chail, which means virtuous woman, she sends her husband to go learn Torah. Even if it's going to be far away, even if he's going to come back late at night, even if he's going to come back after a week, even if he's going to come back after a year, even if he's going to come back after 24 years. Who is the wife, the Eshet Chail, that sent her husband away for 24 years and married it to get her husband to be a Tana? Who?
Rachel.
Yeah, who did she send away?
Rabbi Akiva.
Rabbi Akiva's wife. Rabbi Akiva's wife sent away Rabbi Akiva. He didn't know nothing. He was in Amaretz. He was, he said he would bite the Talmidei Chachamim like he was a donkey. Why didn't he say dog? He didn't say dog because a dog just bites and then leaves a bite mark. But the donkey, when he bites you, he's going to break your bone. He said he hated the Talmidei Chachamim so much that he wanted to break their bones. And she took this husband. She sent him away 24 years to go learn, and he became Rabbi Akiva. He had 24,000 students connected to the 24 years that she sent him. And the Zera Shimshon says that not only does he learn and he grow, but she gets all his zechutim, all the reward that he racked up for himself, all the Dafei Gemara, all the Mishnayot, all the Musar books that he learned, and everything that he taught, everything's going to go to her as well. Like Rabbi Akiva said in the Gemara Nedarim, Daf Nun Amud Aleph, Sheli v'shelachem shelahi. My Torah and your Torah, all 24,000 students, are her Torah. Everything that we amassed, everything that we accumulated, is all the credit to my amazing wife. That's what Rabbi Akiva told her. It's not for free. How's it for free?
I'm just saying.
24 years she didn't see her husband. And the Gemara Brachot in Yud Zayin Amud Aleph says that the reward for the woman is greater than the reward for the men. The promise that Hashem gave them is greater. And we're going to explain why. And it says, Shav Lachem Ashkim Ekum. He explains this pasuk. It is vain for who rise early. That the woman who are going to chase away the sleep from their eyes while they wait for their husbands to come back from the Bet Midrash who's learning late at night. And they're going to wait for them so that they can keep them company and they can accompany them back. That wife who doesn't go to sleep and waits for her husband to come back from learning, she will merit to see the divine presence and she will satiate from the Shekhinah. Such a beautiful reward for the woman who sends her husband to learn. And not only sends her, but also waits for him to come back, asks her, how was it? What did you learn? Now with this Hagdama, with this introduction, we can understand what this line means. What the line of Oz v'Hadar Levusha, strength and beauty are her raiment. Which means, in this world, all the mitzvot you do are spiritual garments. They're called mabushim or chaniyim. They're spiritual clothing that you're wearing. And it says the Torah is referred to as strength. It's referred to as Oz. It says, Amunai Oz la'amo yiten. Shem gave his nation strength. What strength? The Torah. The strength of the Jewish people comes from the Torah. Where do we know that beauty equals mitzvot? Because we know by a mitzvah, the Gemara Bava Kama says, you have to spend up to 1/3 of the mitzvah, to beautify it. For example, let's say a Sefer Torah costs, how do they cost? How much how much does Sefer Torah cost nowadays?
About 30 to 40,000, and the cover is about 15.
So let's say 30,000.
45.
Let's say 45,000. You have a mitzvah to pay up to 1/3 to beautify it. So which means $45,000 Sefer Torah, $15,000 cover to beautify it. That's what it says in Bava Kama. So we see the mitzvot are beautification. You spend $200 on that etrog, you have to beautify that etrog. By some nice, back then they used to put gold chains on their lulav. You know what? You beautify the mitzvot, very important. Zeh eli vanveu. Hashem says that this is my God and I will glorify it. That's what they said in Azir Shir. What?
You buy a sucker for 2 G's, you gotta spend like $600 making it nice.
Beautification for Sukkah is the most biggest mitzvah to beautify. The Sukkah. That's of the most. To beautify the Sukkah is like, you gotta spend a little bit more for that. People think, okay, I built the Sukkah, you're supposed to make it like your home. You're supposed to make it comfortable, pleasant to the eye. That is the mitzvah of Sukkah. It's part of the mitzvah. The beautification of the Sukkah. Sukkah is a special mitzvah. The beautification is part of the mitzvah. So now that we understand that the strength and beauty are called Torah mitzvot, it means that the Oz v'Hadar Levusha, her garments are strength and beauty. What's strength and beauty? Torah and mitzvot. When the woman sends her husband and her kids to go learn, what is she doing? She's accumulating for herself fancy clothes, Torah, mitzvot, and in the future, she's going to be able to get rewarded from this. And it says, Vatischak liyom acharon. This one's beautiful. It says, she laughs on the last day. You ever heard who gets the last laugh is the one who wins? Right? So what does it mean she laughs on the last day? So it says she might think that she's not going to get as much reward as the men. Because there's a concept in Judaism, it's called Metzuveh ve'oseh, is Gedulah, is greater than Enu Metzuveh ve'oseh. What does that mean? One who's commanded and does is better than the one who's not commanded and doesn't do. For example, let's say your father, the Gemara gives the example, around this area by Kibbutz Av. And let's say your father says, go get me a cup of water. Now you right now inside are like, should I get a cup of water, should I not? And then you go begrudgingly get him a cup of water sometimes. You don't want to. But let's say out of your own idea, pop into your head, let me get my father some lunch. You go to the store, you do this, much harder. Go to the store, this, that, you get him lunch. And he's like, wow, surprise. You were not commanded to do that? This one you're commanded. Which one's harder to do? The commanded one. Anything that's commanded is harder, and in mitzvot, anytime it's harder, you get more reward. So the women think, we're not going to get as much reward as our husbands, as the men. Which we're going to see later, it's not true. But Hashem says, don't worry, you're going to have the last laugh. Because on the last day, meaning in Olam Haba, which is the last stop on the train, you guys will not have to come back down. According to what the Zera Shimshon is saying, there's no Gilgulim for women. Can you imagine that?
Why is it harder to do mitzvah that you're
We just explained. It's the psychology of a person. When a person is told to do something, he does not want to do it. It's the way psychology works.
The matrix have come back in Gilgul.
So do you hear it? You never hear there's a Gilgul of a woman.
No.
That according to him, that's what he's doing, and he quotes Sefer Gilgulim, which is written by the Arizal student, of Chaim Vital, and he explains over there the reasons why the woman, when they go there, that's it. They get immediate pleasure. Woman passes away, she sent her husband to go learn. So she sends her husband to go learn. She does the mitzvot. I think it's also dependent on if she's actually doing mitzvot. If she sent her husband to go learn Torah. If she was supportive of it. Some women are not supportive of their husband's learning. They say, you're going to stay right here. I don't want you to go learn Torah. What's the Torah going to do for you? What are you learning? Abaye, Rava, oxes. They're going and they're goring down other people, and this person's throwing again at his wife. What do you need all this for? You ever heard this?
Yeah.
People say, what is all this Gemara doing
Why
for
are
you?
you learning about divorces, Yomaya?
Yeah. There's a whole Masechah Gitin. Why are you learning about divorces? You want to get divorced? People think, why do you need all this stuff? And the women are not supportive of it. But they don't realize the importance of the Torah. I was just at, we were at the Hatchalat Gemara on Shar Tzion, and I think one of the rabbis, I think it was your rabbi, what did he say? Rabbi, what's his name? Mishalsky. He was saying that the Gemara is there to make a person into a mensch. One of the goals of the Gemara is when a person is learning, a real guy who puts himself in his osek in the Torah, what is he doing? He's making himself into a mensch. He knows how to treat his wife. He knows how to raise his kids. He knows how to talk to other people correctly with the right midot. He knows how to learn. He knows how to do all this stuff, and it makes him into a real Ben Adam. So the Gemara, the Torah, everything is very important to this life. Kiem Chayinu. The Torah is our life. Without the Torah, there would be no world. If the Jewish people did not accept the Torah, which means accepting is not only we accepted it means we continually learn and keep. So it's very important for the woman to support this. And then continuing, there's no reincarnation for the woman. They don't come back down. If they do what they're supposed to do, if they send their husbands to learn, they are free from the Gilgul. That's what it means she has the last laugh. Now, the next part is Piyapotcha b'chochma v'torat chesed alishona. What does this mean? She opens her mouth with wisdom, and a teaching of kindness is on her tongue. The Gemara Brachot on Daf Mem Chet Amud Bet says, Nashim dabraniyoten. What does that mean? What is Dabraniyot? What is Diber? What does that mean? They're talkers. Women are speakers. They talk, and they talk more, and they talk more and more and more. All they do is talk. And the Gemara says, they talk so much that they're considered the voice of a fool is behind abundant speech. When you hear a guy talking a lot, it means he's a ksil, he's a fool. The guy doesn't have a brain. That's why Chazal say, Nashim, women, are easily swayed. You can convince a girl to do anything. If you use the right words, you can manipulate her, right? You're in Shalom Bayit, right? Yeah. If you use the right tone of speech, you always say, don't criticize, don't comment, right? Only speak positive, and like that you're always going to get your wife on your good side. Because women are swayed to do whatever. And that's why he says, Eshet Chail doesn't talk so much. The Eshet Chail, when she opens her mouth, what does the pasuk say? Pia potcha bechochma. What's chochma? Wisdom. A woman who's an Eshet Chail does not talk so much. And when she talks only words of wisdom. And not only does she talk words of wisdom, but she has Torat Chesed aleshona. What's Torat Chesed? So the Gemara says in Sukkah, Torat Chesed, Torat of kindness, is Torah that's learned in order to teach. When you're learning in order to teach, not just to keep to yourself, it's called Torat Chesed. So she not only keeps her own tongue from speaking too much, but she also teaches others, don't speak too much. She tells her friends, don't speak too much. It's not good, Lashon Hara. It's not good to speak bad. Not good to speak negatively. And also to men. There's a story, very interesting story. There, Rabbi Yossi Galili. He was on the road, and he needed to go to Lud. So he asks Rabbi Meir's wife, Beruria. Listen to this. He asks her, Be'ezo derech nelech le'ir lud. How many words is that? 5 words. Which way do I get to the city of Lud? You know what she tells him?
Why are you talking so much?
Why are you talking so much? What the rabbis? She tells him, but look at she tells him. Galilah shoteh. She tells him, you Galilah, which is the place where he came from, shoteh. You foolish Galilean. Why are you talking so much? Did the rabbis not teach you not to be marbesi chai ma'isha? Not to talk too much to
She
women?
said more words though. There.
But look what she tells
A
him.
woman.
This is rebuke. And she tells him like this. You know what you should have said? You should have said, Be'ezo lelud. Which way? To Lud.
What did he say?
He said, Be'ezo derech nelech le'ir Lud. Which way do I go to the city of Lud? 5 words? She said you should have said 2 words. She not only kept herself, not only does an Eshet Chail stop herself from talking too much, talking with men. Other women like to flirt with men, like to talk a lot, like to this, That's called not an Eshet Chail. Eshet Chail is one that speaks with wisdom, speaks when she has to, and also teaches others the correct way of
What do you
speaking.
do when they speak too much like that?
You don't criticize.
Oh.
No. This is for the woman to learn. Now we have Sophia alichot beta velech matzlut lotochel. The pasuk says she anticipates the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of laziness. What does this mean? You look at these English translations, sometimes you don't understand what's happening. She anticipates the ways of her household and she does not eat the bread of laziness. So again, the Zer Shimshon is going to expound on this, and he brings down a Shulchan Aruch. It's beautiful how he comes up with this. Is all his chidushim. It's beautiful how he comes up with all this. The Shulchan Aruch says like this: a worker, an employee. Let's say you're a barber. You work at a shop, and your boss, he makes money when you make money, right? Everyone knows how barbers work. 50% of whatever you make goes to the owner of the shop. Now let's say one day you fast, you starve yourself. Are you gonna have the same outcome? That you're gonna the same amount of profits? No, you're gonna work slower. You're not gonna cut as much hair. You're not gonna want to work. Guy comes in and say another guy, you're gonna do very slow job, bad job. The guy's not gonna want to come back again. When you are gonna deprive yourself of the nutrients, then you're making your boss lose out. Says the Shulchan Aruch, a person who works with a different person has to make sure to be full, has to make sure to be satiated, and eat very well. Because otherwise, he's making his boss lose out. Who do we know is very strong to employment? Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu would not even talk to someone else when he's working. Let's say he's working for Lavan. He said to Lavan, I did not cheat you. I worked when I had to work. When I didn't work, I didn't work. I was 100% straight with you. That's how the employee has to be. Employee has to be 100% straight with his boss. And it says, breakfast is the most important meal, says the Zer Shimshon. And he learns this in the Gemara Bava Kama. Because it says, eat early in the day. Because in the winter, you have to save yourself from the cold, and in the summer from the heat. The person who eats the breakfast will win the race. 60 runners ran. The one who broke bread in the morning was the one who won. Which means the person who eats breakfast, some people get lazy to eat breakfast. Baby, you ever get lazy to eat breakfast? Not really? You love yourself. But some people don't want to eat breakfast. They just, I'll eat later. You eat during lunch. The breakfast is what brings you throughout the day. Says the Zer Shimshon by the Eshet Chail. The Eshet Chail anticipates the ways of her household. She knows her responsibilities. She knows she's going to have to clean the house. She knows she's going to have to cook the food, take care of the kids, wash the dishes, go to work if she has work. She knows all her responsibilities. So she says, how am I going to have the energy to do all this? I'm not going to eat the bread of laziness. I mean, I'm not going to eat whatever I want. I'm going to eat breakfast. I'm going to go throughout my day. I'm going to have the energy to serve my husband, serve my family. That's called Eshet Chail. That's letter Tzadi. Now we're up to letter Kuf, which is Kamu Banei Yashua Baila V'Yalala. This one's powerful. It says her children have risen and praised her, and her husband, he extolled her, which means he said a lot of praise about her. It says the banim of a woman, the sons of a woman, tell us about her. If she has righteous sons, she is righteous. If she has a wicked son, she is wicked.
Daughters or sons? Only?
Children.
Children.
What's the proof? There's a lady called Kimchit. Everyone knows this lady. She was the mother of a bunch of sons who were all Kohanim Gadolim. 2 of her sons were Kohen Gadol on the same exact day. On the same day, they were Kohen Gadol. And the Chachamim went up to her and says, how did you have such a merit? What did you do so special that your sons became Kohen Gadols? You know what that means? The son is the holiest, not just one son. All her sons were the holy. So again, Kimchit was the mother of a bunch of children who were all Kohanim Gedolim. How did she merit to such a thing? She merited to this because Chachamim said, why'd you do it? How'd you do it? Said, the walls of my house never saw my hair uncovered. With this zechut, I had all the children righteous. Chachamim told her, what do you mean? Everyone does that. Not everyone has kids like you. And there's a whole Gemara over there. But what do we see from this Gemara? Sam, what's the point that we're getting out from this Gemara? That the mother is praised for the children. Not the father. They didn't go up to the father, oh, why are your kids so good? No. Who's the one that's praised? The mother. Because the way the kids come out tells us about the mother. If the mother is righteous, the kids are righteous. And we see this the opposite as well. In a few weeks from now, do we ever hear about Rivka's death? It says Sarah died, Leah died, Rachel died. Rivka? Doesn't say nowhere she died. Who did Rivka give birth to? Esau. It says, Rashi says, the reason why we never mentioned Rivka's death was because Rivka, we didn't want to, put curses on her. Because people would see Rivka died in the Torah. Rivka, she gave birth to such a wicked son, a murderer, a guy who was with women, this, that, thief. And they would curse her like that. Chas v'shalom. So Hashem said, I'm going to conceal her from the Torah. A question. Does it say when Yitzchak died? Yeah. Yitzchak died, it says. What do we see from here? That only the mother is blamed for the children. When the children go off, whose fault is it? It's the mom. It's the mom's fault. You don't tell this to your wives, but it's the mom's fault. It's the mom's fault. That's part one. That's Kamu Banev Yashur. Her children will get up and praise her. They won't praise her with their mouth, but they'll praise her by the way they act and the way they live, and who they turned out to be. Now the husband will extol her. What does this mean? That she is the crown of her husband. Her achievements is the glorification of her husband. Whatever she accomplishes, she is glorifying her husband. It says in the pasuk, Eshet Chail ateret bala. And Eshet Chail is the crown of the husband. Now we're nearing the end. Rabot banot asu Chail v'atalita kulana. We tell our wives every Friday night, many women have amassed achievement, but you surpassed them all. You went more than everyone else. And there's three explanations to this. The first one is from Kimchit. They asked Kimchit. She had one son that was extremely large, very big, strong guy. And they said, how do you have such a kid? The same lady. How do you have such a, big kid, huge, giant? And she said, I used to feed him this flour, this certain type of product, And they said, how many people feed their kids this flour? And they say, because you're a virtuous woman, because you're true Eshet Chail, that's why your kids came out good physically and spiritually. They're all Kohanim Gedolim as well. So we see Rabbo Banot Asu Chail means the Eshet Chail surpasses everyone. Everyone tries, but only the Eshet Chail succeeds. A second shot is the Nashim Rabbo Nizdarzu B'mitzvot. Many women, what do they focus on? They focus on one thing, just mitzvot. Just doing mitzvot. But what do they forget? They forget about Torah. A woman, everyone should know, has to learn Torah. She must learn everything that's applicable to him. She has to learn Hilchot Shabbat, Hilchot Nidah, Kashrut, all these type of stuff she has to learn. And not only she has to learn, but she has to send her husband to learn. So the Eshet Chail is not only going to be successful and amass mitzvot, but she surpassed all those women who even did that, because she has as well Torah. She sends her husband to go learn. And when the husband's learning, everything goes on her account as well. And pshat number 3 is that why does it say Rabot Banot? What's Banot in Hebrew?
Daughters. No?
Daughters. It says many daughters have done what you done, but you are greater. Why daughters? It should say Rabot Nashim. Many women have done what you do. Usually, you're getting married to a woman, not a girl. What does this teach us? What do girls have an obligation? The father has an obligation to teach your girls Torah. So it says, even the girls who are learning Torah, you have surpassed them. Because the true Eshet Chail wife is the one that's going to be able to teach her son's Torah. The Eshet Chail is going to know so much that she's going to be able to teach her kids, you're not allowed to do this on Shabbat, this is the halacha for this is, my mom said at the Shabbat table, sometimes she tells me Chidushim, on the Parsha, certain halachot. That's called Eshet Chail. Eshet Chail is the one that the mothers can even teach their kids. That's the 3 pshatim. And then we're getting to the climax of the song. Sheker achen vehevel hayofi. Isha yirat Hashem hiti talal. What does this mean? Everyone wonder. Such a not making sense pasuk. Sheker achen. False is charm and nothing is beauty. A woman who's praised, a woman who fears God is praised. Is it true? Is charm really nothing? Is it charm is fake?
It's big.
It's fake?
Chen is big.
Chen is big. Beauty. It's nothing.
Everyone
Everyone chases beauty. So what's going on? And what does it have to do with fearing God? Says the Zera Shimshon. From the Gemara, from the Midrash, it says a guy who has Yirat Shamayim. How do you know he has Yirat Shamayim? If he has Chen. Person who has Chen has Yirat Shamayim. What's Chen? Chen is charm. Everyone looks at him, they just like him. He's a very likable personality. He's good to everyone. This, that. That person, you know, he has Yirat Shamayim. He has fear of God. Says the Zera Shimshon, this is only by men. Dave, you hear this? Only men, if they have Chen, only men who have charm, you know they have Yirat Shamayim. But a woman, her charm is fake. Why is her charm fake?
It's a beauty.
Because she can make herself look charming. She can, make herself look good. But when that all comes off, then inside she doesn't really have Chen. And certain women don't even need, makeup and jewelry to look good. Certain women are just naturally beautiful. And even the natural beauty, says the Zera Shimshon, is nothing. Because everything at the end of the day fades. What's the one thing that's going to last? Yirat Shamayim. When the woman has the fear of God, Hashem says, I will bestow upon you Chen Hamiti, a charm that will last forever. This charm, her husband will always love her. Her husband will always think she's the most beautiful. Everyone will always say, wow, she's so good. Why? Because she has fear of God. Hashem says, I will give you Chen Hamiti. Who had Chen Hamiti? You know who got this Chut Shel Chesed? String of kindness? Esther. Esther, according to one opinion, was green. Sam, you know this? Esther was green, according to some opinions. And yet, Achashverosh had the choice of all the girls in the world. And who did he pick? The green one.
The babula.
The green one. How did he pick the green one? Because the beauty is nothing. Charm is nothing. What's the one thing that's worth something? When Hashem bestows upon you, true Chen. When Hashem bestows upon you a charm, that's called Chen Amiti. That's the thing that's emet. So Sheker Achen vehevel hayofi. It's nothing. What's counting? What's praised? Isha yirat Hashem. And the climax, the end of the Eshet Chail song, which the Zera Shimshon says, everything goes after the final line. What's the final line? Tenu la mipri yadea ma'aseha. What does this mean? It means give her the fruits of her hand. What does this mean? It means the Chachamim say in the Gemara Sotah that a woman, she's not commanded to study Torah herself. The woman doesn't have to study Torah because she's not commanded. If she's not commanded, meaning when we say study, when the Torah and the Gemara says study, it means, inside, Pipulim, Rishonim, Achronim, the complex stuff. Obviously they have to know halakha, like we explained. But they're not commanded to, be studying in Torah like we are. So because of that, they're not going to get as much reward. So it says, B'schar dimikram banayu. So it says, give her the fruits of her hand. Who are the fruits? Who are her fruits?
Children.
Her children. Her children are the fruits. When your mom sends you to school and you learn Torah, and you start learning Gemara over there, you know what she gets? She gets your reward. When your mom sends your father to go learn Torah, you know what she gets? Her reward is reward as well. She gets the reward of her fruits. Her fruits are her husband, and her fruits are her kids. And she's going to get the reward from everyone. And it says, V'halelua basharim ma'aseha. So he breaks this pasuk into two. V'halelua basharim, which means praise her in the gates. We have an obligation to praise our wives. We have to say our wives are so good that they make us allowing to study Torah. We got to the levels that we are because of them. Who did this like we said? Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva said, my Torah. Imagine yeshiva, Rosh Yeshiva gets up, 24,000 students, and says, guys, everything you've been learning for 24 years, I've been learning. You guys, 24,000 people, all my wife. That's what we have to do. We have to praise our wives and say that all our accomplishments are them. And the last thing is, Vashari Ma'aseh. What is this coming to tell us? That the gates, by her very own deeds. Her deeds are what gives her reward. A woman who is modest, a woman who is tzinua, kshera, who's a real Eshet Chail, she's going to merit the children, banim, tamidei chachamim, tzaddikim, and those who are going to learn. And who do we see that from? Kimchit and Rivka, that the women are in charge of the, what's his name, are blamed either for the good or for the bad of their kids. They're going to get the reward. And says the Zer Shimshon, they get a double reward. Not only do they get the reward of the husband, but they even get the reward of the sons. So what does that happen? You, the husband, you learned 100% of what you could in your life. Good? The kids learned 100% of what they could. What does she get? She gets 200%. She gets a portion in his reward, and she gets a portion in her kid's reward. She gets a portion in everything. So a woman should try the most to become the biggest Eshet Chail she could be. The one who's going to send her husband to go learn. Who's going to say, I want you to go learn. I want you to know more Torah. I want you to spread the Torah. All the Torah you're going to spread, it's going to be going to my account. And not only she has to say it, but when she acts herself correctly, not talk too much, be modest in her words, be modest the way she dresses and she acts, then her kids are going to follow after her path, like we saw by Kimchit, who she was going the right way. Her children all merited to become the holiest kids, the Kohanim Gedolim. And that's only if the woman act correctly. And it's our jobs, as husbands, part 2, Shalom Bayit, to see what the jobs of the husbands, to support our wives, and may all our children become big Talmidei Chachamim, Ovdei Hashem, serving Hashem with all their might, and be very good. Also, midot are very important, and have everything in life amazing. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen. Amen.